All right, everybody, about time to get back to your cars here. Challenge, top 32 challenge qualifiers to the grid, please. To the grid. One more time, I'm going to go over the list of challenge winners. The 32 challenge qualifiers. In your top qualifier position, Justin Sang. In the second spot, Paul Brown. Third spot, Joey Green. Fourth spot, Mike Yanase. Fifth spot, going to Teresa McKee. Sixth spot, Manfred Reiser. Seventh, Ron Bauer. Eighth, Jeff Wong. 9th, Ryan Otis. 10th, Tom Berry. 11th, Reed Gibson. 12th is going to be Jeff Kiesel. 13th, Andy McKee. 14th, Tom Elam. 15th, Eric Stoltz. 16th, Jason Bucky. 17th, Randall Wilcox. 18th, Jonathan Lugod. 19th, Ryan Johnson. 20th, Cam Whittle. 21, Doug Rouse. 22, David Whitener. 23, Jonathan Clements. 24, Chad Riker. 25, Andrew Kessel. 26, Erica McKee. 27, Taylor Wargo. 28th, Adrian Cardenas. 29th, Ryan Clark. 30th, Steve Oblenis. 31st, Zach Kiesel. 32nd qualifier, James Paulson. Making good on that long drive down from Oregon. All right, if I just called your name, you need to get over into grid. If you're a Las Vegas solo member for the region, you do need to check in for the challenge competition, so head out there as soon as you check in out on course. While we're waiting here, I'll give you the rundown of today's competition if you've followed along at home. It's been a great competition so far this weekend. Beautiful weather and a great location here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 208 drivers doing battle here on the asphalt. A street winner was Justin Sang. He's also your top qualifier here this weekend. Ken Molyneux in that second spot, Brian Anderson third, Bevan Johnson in fourth, Yvonne Anderson in fifth. In the B Street two-wheel drive, we got new classes this year, so it's going to take a minute for me to get all that figured out. 16 drivers deep here in B Street. Paul Brown taking the win here this weekend. Jason Bucky in the second spot, Andrew Kessel third, Jay Balducci in fourth, Kyle Williams in fifth, Maurice Valendia in sixth. C Street, not enough drivers moving over to bump. We'll get those guys in a minute. In E Street, 8 drivers, Joey Green taking the win there. Dennis Hubbard in the second spot, Pax Rolfe in that third spot. G Street, 6 drivers, Mike Yanase taking the win. George Emery in second, Terrence Chang in that third spot. Over into Solo Spec Coupe, 6 drivers deep, Teresa McKee, new to this class, jumping in there with her daughter, Erica McKee. They're 1-2 this weekend. Glenn Austin just gets in that third spot by hitting a cone, and that kept him out of the second spot there behind Teresa. Ed Runyon in that fourth position. STS here this weekend, but not enough cars to make a class. They're also in bump. STX, so 9 drivers. Your winner there, Manfred Reiser, taking the win over Taylor Wargo, who was an interloper from Washington State. Brian Newport in that third spot. Adam Turnoff in fourth. Thomas Kenna in fifth. In Street 1, Ron Bauer with that new build taking the win there. Some sorting earlier on Saturday, but Sunday figuring some things out. Just squeaking by Randall Wilcox in that second spot. Lugod could have won, but coned it away in that Mazda Miata, so he'll be wishing he had that cone. Still in the box. Steve Oblenis in that fourth spot. Austin Clark in fourth. New car for Austin, so we look for him to go faster as he dials that thing in. STR off to bump class. We'll get back to bump in just a minute. Street 2, Jeff Wong taking the win there in the Camaro. Ryan Johnson in the second spot, not that far back in the Lotus. Adrian Cardenas in the RX-7 in third. James Dart in the Camaro fourth. The 2 Riveras, Tony and Katie, round us out there in fifth and sixth. In Street 3, the one, the only from Oregon region, Ryan Otis putting down the power in that Camaro in that top spot over Cam Whittle. You talk about power. Whittle with that Dodge Viper this year, but unable to squeak around Ryan Otis. Good battle. Can't wait to watch those guys do battle all year long. Doug Rouse in that third spot in his venerable Corvette. Ryan Clark also in the Viper with Cam Whipple in the fourth spot. Monty Pack in his GT3 in fifth. And Rachel Baker rounds out our sixth position there in Street 3 in her Cayman S. Street 4, 11 drivers. Tom Berry taking the win there, but it was oh so close. Thousands of a second separate Berry and David Whitener. David Whitener in the Tesla. Good thing we're in an alternate universe because that car was moved out. But you show the battery powered to the gas powered, and it's almost a dead heat with those two cars. In that third spot, Michael Carpenter. In the fourth spot, Thomas Smith. The fifth spot, Jimmy Young. And sixth going to Brandon Davis. Moving on is Street 5. That's Reed Gibson taking the win there in the Fiesta over Jonathan Cadiente in the Civic. Robert Ekstrand, first time in a full-size car that I've seen him, driving that neon SRT4 in the third position. Derek Hoy in the, I believe he's co-driving with Reed Gibson in the Fiesta there in that 4th spot. In race 1, super fast guys here now, modified and kart modified. Your fastest guy here this weekend, or one of the fastest guys, Jeff Kiesel in the KFR Sprite. In the 2nd position, Jonathan Clements in the Van Diemen, Zach Kiesel in the Raptor F500, and Eric Clements in the Van Diemen in 4th. If you heard the names repeated, that's because it's a father-son duo there in race 1. The Kiesels, Jeff and Zach, and the Clements with Eric and Jonathan. So what a family sport this is with those 4 drivers all being related. Race 2, Andy McKee taking the win there in the RX-7. This is a prepared class. Britt Dolmeyer in the Mustang in the 2nd spot. Tom Bergstrom in 3rd. Tom Exley in 4th. Moving on to Cam, 38 drivers, biggest car class we had here all weekend. Tom Ellum coming out of nowhere on his final run of that Mustang, throwing down a flyer and taking the win away from Chad Riker, who was leading up to that point and looked comfortable to take the win here this weekend. But Tom Ellum, never say die Ellum will be his new nickname, throws it down on that last run. James Paulson holding on to the 3rd spot. Brian Colson in the Calvette doing a great job in 4th. Tom Reynolds and David Rock round us out in 5th and 6th. In the ladies class L1, some of the hardest competition you're ever going to find here on the West Coast or anywhere in the autocross world. 9 drivers deep in L1. Christine Grice showing her experience in that Evo. I remember when Christine was in junior karts. Didn't even have a driver's license yet. Boy, did I just date myself. Am I old or what? Nicole Wong in the 2nd spot in her Camaro. You got to figure those 2 gals going to be 1-2. Deanna Kelly doing a great job in the Miata up in the 3rd. Jessica Young in the 4th. Sean Kiesel getting a handle on that KFR Sprite in 5th. Lisa Berry in the Evo in 6th. Mary Clements, Emily Dante, and Kayla Kiesel round out in L1 and L2 competition. 7 drivers. Alex Kang taking the win there in the MR2 over Meredith Brown, but not by much. Meredith Conan away potentially the win there in the MR2. Shauna Rios also with some cone trouble. She's in that 3rd spot. But that's good. 1, 2, 3. I'd rather be in the 3rd spots than anywhere else. Julie Woodbury in 4th. Zagal in 5th. Kathy Vanderwerf 6th. And Pamela Hironaka in 7th. Moving on to L3, 9 entries. And we've got the top gal here. You've heard this name before. Kim Whitener taking the win here over Kate Fisher. Great battle between those 2 gals all weekend. Lacey Otis consistently in 3rd place all weekend. Held on to it to the final finish. Catherine Tran in the RX-8 in 4th. Eileen Blando, Deanne Carter, 5th and 6th. Stacy Miller, Rebecca Mestes, and Kelsey Karangas round out there in 9th. And back to our bump class there. Eric Stoltz taking the win there. Daryl McVeigh in 2nd. James Yom cones away the win there in bump class. And he's another one of those drivers that wishes he didn't hit that cone because I'm not sure if he made the top 32 challenge. And we'll be getting to that in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the 2020 Tire Rack Pro Solo Tour. Second stop on the leg this weekend is Las Vegas at Las Vegas Raceway here in beautiful Nevada. The weather's been great, not too hot, not too cold. The pavement's been fast. Some of the best drivers in the nation here this weekend doing battle. If you've been paying attention, you know what we're doing now. It's a top 32 car shootout. I went through that list earlier. All those drivers are back in the grid, ready to go. It ain't over till it's over. You never know what's going to happen in pro solo competition. It's one of the best forms of autocrossing you could possibly do. If you're listening for the first time at home, welcome. Please come out to the autocross events near you and sharpen that pencil so you can get involved in the SCCA, one of the greatest clubs in the country. Before we get started here today, I want to talk about the Tire Rack. We couldn't do anything without the Tire Rack. The Tire Rack's been our sponsor for 40-some years. And again, this year in 2020, they've stepped up again. Can't thank Tire Rack enough. Those guys get her done. If you need tires for your race car or your trailer or your motorhome or RV or your truck, please give Tire Rack a look. Check them out. They can ship it directly to you or to your favorite installer. Just waiting for Grid to send up cars now. We should be getting here underway here shortly. Listening for the call for Grid to bring the cars up.
When you're ready.
All right, here we go. I think I just heard the Grid call the cars, so we'll get here to race in action here shortly. Oh yeah, I hear the car starting up there behind me. That first round, round number 1 of the top 32 Pro Solo Shootout underway here. That's going to be lining up on that left-hand side. That's Justin Sang in his Cayman, top qualifier here this weekend. And he's going to be lining up against James Paulson, dialing for Justin in A Street. 43.101, James Paulson with a 44.376. And starter, we're going to send him to you. And starter, they're all yours. Tree goes down. James Paulson with the jump there with a slightly slower index with a 44.7. He gets a great 5.27 light. Justin Sang, not too bad either with a 6.01. Justin's going to have to reel James Paulson in. Great course here this weekend. Fast and flowing. Kind of a long stretch down if you're listening back home. A couple offset gates into a slalom. And then a big sweeper at the end coming right back at us. Kind of a runway kind of configuration here on the parking lot. Looks like Paulson's still out front from the light, but Justin reeling them in quick. As they get into those offset gates, they came in really doing a good job. And looks like Paulson's going to be back first. He trips the beam with a 40 on. He's back. And, oh, no, coming for Sang. So right at the last couple gates there, Sang with the cone. So as they switch sides, it looks to me like it's going to be a 2.1 second advantage there for Paulson as they switch sides. So it's Paulson's to lose right now. Tree comes down, and Sang, as you would expect with nothing to lose there, throws down a great 5.01 light, best light I've seen. Really in class competition, not a lot of 5.0 lights. Paulson with a fairly conservative 6.01. Both looking sharp out there all the way down to the end. Paulson to the slalom first. And into the sweeper. Justin not that far behind. Coming out of the sweeper there. Justin looks like he's made up some ground. Paulson still looking strong to stay out in front. Looks like Justin Sang has pulled even with Paulson now. It's going to be tight at the finish. You got to remember, there's a cone penalty, though. Sang's going to really have to hope that Paulson wiggles the cone. Through the lights they go. Paulson back. Sang back, but not enough. Not enough to overcome Paulson. Moving on to the next round. That'll bring our next pairing up on the left-hand side. Paul Brown running out of B Street is down on a 43.702. Paul Brown inventing pro solo competition back in the day. Zach Kiesel, the young gun from California, on that right-hand side in the Kiesel Dynasty Racing F500 Raptor running an R1 this weekend. Is down on a 37.560. Started their all years. Paul Brown out first. Paul looking good from the lights with a 5.27. Paul is Mr. Consistent there. Is Kiesel right there with him, though, with a 5.38. And you'd think that Kiesel will be able to really tear up this slalom. So we'll see if he can gain up ground before they get to the big turnaround at the end. Paul Brown still out front as they go down to the far end of the course. And Paul's loose into the sweeper. And Kiesel now into the sweeper. And, oh, wow, almost a dead heat on the exit of the sweeper. Paul Brown looks like they are dead even. There's a long way to go back to the start line here. for Paul Brown as Kiesel starts putting on the power in an F500 Raptor. In the final offset gates there, Kiesel will be back first. He trips the lights. He is back first. Advantage goes to Kiesel. 0.8 of a second as they switch sides. Paul Brown a little loose into that sweeper on the backside. Going to have to tighten things up here on the second pairing. Lights. Brown out first again. Good light by Paul Brown. Slightly slower, 540. He's done this before. He doesn't want to throw it away. Kiesel, another good 520 light by Kiesel. You would know he was out front. All in the slalom going down. Now, last time on the left-hand side, he was loose into the sweeper. This time looks nice and controlled. Kiesel not as close to him this time on the exit. Paul Brown working his way back now with the offset gates. Paul right there, Kiesel right there. This is where the Kiesel car is going to really reel him in. This last set of slaloms right before the finish. And Zach is back first. Zach will move on to the next round. Next pairing up, that's Joey Green. Joey driving in E Street here this weekend, taking the win in his class. He's dialing a 45.014. He's lining up against the wily old Steve O'Blennis, running at RX8 in Street 1 this weekend with a dialing of 43.591. Started there all years. Joey Green, trees out. Joey's out first. Good light by Joey. 650. Probably a little bit of sleepy tree there, sitting back in grid for a while. Steve O'Blennis there with about an equal 650. Only a few thousand separate those guys at the tree, so this should be a good race here. The E Street Joey Green definitely got his strengths in the offset gates. The slalom. O'Blennis going to put the power down after the sweeper, though. Joey Green still out in front. In the slalom, now into the sweeper. Exit of the sweeper. Steve O'Blennis still trailing, but Steve's starting to make some ground now on their way back. A little bit faster opportunities on the way back than the way down. A little pinch here on the way down, a little faster on the way back. Steve O'Blennis now has pulled equal to Joey Green, and it looks like Steve is back first, so Steve will be back by 0.8 as they switch sides now. Joey Green moving over to the right side, Steve O'Blennis over to this left side course. Not a big differential between the courses this weekend, about, well, anybody, everyone's got a different opinion, but anywhere from 0.2 to 0.6 or so, side to side. You guys can figure out which side's which. 0.8 right now to O'Blennis. And Joey's out first again at the tree for Joey. A little sharper there, 589. Steve O'Blennis with a 7, though, so Steve feeling confident with that 0.8 lead as they head back down the course here. And Steve looking good in the slalom. Oh, wiggling a couple cones there on the slalom going out. Course workers going to check, but no cones down. Through the slalom left-hand side. Oh, sounds like Joey Green with a cone on the left with nothing to lose. Joey trying hard over there on the left-hand side. So, yep, Joey Green with the cone as they work their way into the slalom. Out of the slalom, now into the sweep. Out of the sweep goes Steve. And they are equal now. O'Blennis has caught him. O'Blennis making some ground up here in the faster section. Steve really looking good coming back at us here. So smooth. You know when a guy's smooth, he's going to be fast. Steve back first. And by the benefit of the cone for sure. Oh, and Steve breaks out. So Steve picking up 0.1 of a second. He'll break out. He'll have a new dial-in going into that next round. So congratulations, Steve O'Blennis. Next pairing up, that's going to be Mike Yanase running at G Street. Dialing a 45.429. Left-hand lane. Right-hand lane is Ryan Clark. He ran in S3. And Ryan, I believe, had a pretty good weekend this weekend. And, yeah, with that new Viper there for Clark. So we'll see what happens here. Viper versus Civic. And Mike Yanase gets the tree. He's out front, as you would expect in there, Civic. A little bit of a David and Goliath battle here. Clark also with a good launch. Both drivers in the 7s. Yanase jumping in this Civic this year, and G Street missed the PAX. Last year was the car for the car for class last year with the PAX numbers. G Street's been sharpened up a little bit this year. Not quite as easy at PAX as it was last year. Ryan Clark, though, brand new car for him, Viper. I've never seen Ryan in a Viper before. Both drivers looking good down through the course into the sweeper. Clark still back, but not by much, starting to reel in Yanase now. Is Clark with the Viper putting the power down on that exit of that big sweeper. And Ryan looks like he's almost equal to Yanase as they come back. Clark back first on the right-hand side. So as they switch over now, Yanase to the right, Ryan Clark back over to the left. The differential between these guys only a 1/10 of a second, so it's still a heads-up race now between Yanase and Clark. Trees down, Yanase away. 675 for Yanase. Ryan Clark with a 540. So Clark really good at the tree right now in the Viper. Can't be an easy car to launch. Got to be like a Z06, I would imagine. More power than you need everywhere. That makes it a very difficult car to launch. Clark right now still back from Yanase. Both drivers looking really good. Tight to the cones. Yanase in the slalom, now into the sweeper. Clark into the slalom. Now he's into the sleeper. Very, very close together. On the exit of the sweeper, very close. And Clark is now going to have the advantage coming back with that power. 1/10 of advantage on the tree. Yanase hoping Clark's going to make a mistake right now. Clark still out front as they come to the lights. And Ryan back first. So Ryan Clark moving on to round number 2. Next pair up here on the left-hand side. Running an SSC this weekend. Teresa McKee. New car for her. Co-driving that with her daughter. Her daughter's getting her driver's license, and be great to see what she can do in this class. Great stepper class for a new driver. Teresa's dialing a 44,896. And on the right-hand side, that's Adrian Cardenas. Cardenas lining up, running in S2 this weekend. And Cardenas dialing a 40757. 40757 for Cardenas starter. They're all yours. And Teresa's away. Good 670 reaction time there for Teresa. Adrian Cardenas also with a 610 reaction time in the RX-7. Now that FRS, it doesn't have a lot of go power, but they sure do handle well. And Teresa on her way out there, offset gates into the slalom, still out in front. Cardenas with that big horsepower RX-7 running in Street 2. You think he's going to reel her in on the second half of this course. They get in the slalom before the big sweeper at the end of the course here. And it does look like Cardenas is making a little ground on Teresa as they come out of the sweep. Teresa's still ahead, but Cardenas putting on the power now. Coming back through the offset gates towards the finish. Final slalom. Cardenas right there with McKee. And Cardenas back first. And the margin there between those two drivers, 0.3 of a second as they switch sides. So Cardenas now over to the left. Teresa back over here on the right, 0.3 down. And they're off. Teresa again on the right-hand side. Good light by Teresa this time, a 5.40. Cardenas backs it off a bit, a 7.10 reaction time there for Cardenas. He's got an advantage, but is it enough? Teresa's played this game before. No stranger to autocross, Teresa McKee. And she's got to have done this as long as I have, some 20-plus years. Maybe 25 years. Into the sweeper they go. McKee out front still, but here comes Cardenas again. And putting on the power of that RX-7. Oh, and he looks like he's equal now to McKee. So Cardenas has now caught McKee. It's going to be Cardenas's to lose now as he's moved ahead Last couple turns, and he is back first, so I don't hear any cone penalties. That's going to put Adrian Cardenas out front in round 2, taking the win over Teresa. Next pair up on the left-hand side, running an STX. We've got a straight-up class competition here between Manfred Reiser in STX, dialing a 43.591 to the second-place driver in STX. That's Taylor Wargo from Washington State. So we have a totally heads-up race here in this next pairing. Taylor also with a 43.591 starter. They're all yours. And as you would expect, nearly identical reaction times there. 672 for Reiser to a 689 for Wargo. And this is a totally heads-up race, so these guys, hard to tell them apart at this point. Wargo wiggling the cone, though. Course worker walking out behind it. And looks like that's going to be called safe. Manfred Reiser driving Kate Fisher's borrowed car, and he's been in this car before, so I wouldn't expect anything crazy from Reiser as Wargo's jumping in. The same borrowed car. Good thing we're in an alternate universe here, where they can both drive the same car at the same time. And Reiser looks like he's going to be back first, but not by much. Good race as they switch sides. Three comes down for Wargo this time, and Wargo with the better line, a 5:01, another 5:01. So two drivers now at low 5:01s. Taylor with nothing to lose and a long drive home, leaving nothing at the tree. Manfred with a good consistent 6:32. Manfred on the clock, though, with an advantage. They look identical on course. This is going to come down to the wire. Manfred now, I swear he just wiggled the same cone Wargo did on Wargo's run. Of course, we're again going out to check. That cone must have some silly putty on it, as it just does not want to come out of the box. And equal into the sweeper now. I'd have to say Reiser might be out front by a little bit. It's hard to tell from here. It's a long curve of the earth course, though. When I say curve of the earth, it means it's out there a ways. It's hard for me to see. But it does look like Reiser is slightly ahead as they turn into the first offset gate. Down in the slalom. And Reiser is back first, and he'll be moving on to the next round. Next pair up as we are just ripping through this today. That new timing system by Pronto. Darren DeSimo busting his butt all winter, making this system so cool, so easy, so automatic. I'm looking forward to what we can do now with this efficiency. Maybe we can bump up the ProSolos to 32 cars. All right, back to racing here on the left-hand side, driving his newly prepared Mazda Miata out of Washington State, taking the win in Street 1. It was Mr. Ron Bauer. He's dialing a 39.770. On the right-hand side, new to the big car class, Erica McKee, coming out of the junior karts into her first full-size door slammer, running an SSC with her mom. Her dialing a 44.896. Boy, if there was ever a Dave and Goliath, here we go. As Bauer with that quick 39.7 dial in. All right, starter, they're all yours. And as you would think, McKee's out front. She gets that launch advantage. And then here comes Bauer. Bauer with a 7 light. McKee with a 690, so nearly identical to tree. This should be good. McKee is already through the slalom. Bauer hasn't got to it yet. McKee into the sweeper. You got to wonder that Formula Junior Kart practice. You know, normally they get to see the course at eye level. So it probably feels to Erica as though she is driving a 4x4 truck out on course. And Erica threw the sweeper and heading back. Ron Bauer still hasn't gotten the sweeper yet. But coming back, I expect Ron Bauer to start gaining the ground, and Ron is now out of the sweeper and charging hard into the first offset. Ron's clearly made up some time as he gets back closer, and I can actually see how the differential is between these two drivers, and they're almost to the slalom at the same time. Bauer back and forth, McKee back first by .010. So Erica McKee doing a great job as they switch sides. Bauer got to get some heat in those tires, so look for that second round to be the round that Bauer puts down the power. People screaming for Erica there as he switched sides. You can't help but root for her, even though Ron Bauer's my buddy. Okay, here we go. 3 coming down. McKee's out first. McKee with a 7 light, so leaving some of the tree. And Ron with a 790, uncharacteristic for Ron. And awful nice of him, but I don't think Ron's niceness, I don't think he has any of that when he's racing. So not sure what happened there, but McKee is looking good. She's out there. She was back first on the tree, so it's really hers to lose right now. But you got to figure Ron with the heat in the tires now is really going to start pouring it on. McKee through the slalom into the sweeper. And looks like McKee is out of the sweeper. Oh, I'm hearing a cone call on the radio. They're too far away for me to see, though. It looks to me like there is someone running on the left side behind Erica. And yes, I think there is a cone on Erica. She had the lead. She's still going hard, though. She might not know she has that cone. Ron pouring it on now. Equal into the slalom. Almost dead at the finish, and through the lights they go. McKee back first, but not with the cone penalty. So an upset almost there in the making from McKee. I told you never count anybody out here in pro solo competition. Went wrong with that sleepy tree. Gave Erica the advantage. Erica making a good job to take advantage of that. But catching a cone, coming back on the offset gates will give Ron Bauer the win, and he'll be going on to the second round. Here comes our next pairing up now. On the left-hand lane, running in Street 2 in the Camaro, that's Mr. Jeff Wong. Jeff's dialing a 41.947. Lining up against Jeff out of B Street, Andrew Kessel. Kessel with a dialing of 43.702. Starter, they're all yours. Kessel out first. Another good light. Kessel low 6 light. And Wong with a 702. So neither driver pushing the tree on their first time around. Jeff's been here many times. And if you've done any pro solo, you know how easy it is to red light. So let the other guy red light. It's always been my rule of thumb. Kessel still out front. Into the sweeper they go. Goes Kessel. And into the sweeper. Kessel still with the lead there, but here comes Jeff Wong. You got to figure that Wong's going to put the power down on the exit of that sweeper. So I expect him to make up some time here on Mr. Kessel. And looks like he is starting to make something time. Both drivers looking good. Jeff Wong now has caught him in the slalom. And Jeff Wong back first. And Jeff broke out by .197. So Jeff Wong definitely left some gas in the tank there, running in S2. And he probably would have put a little bit more distance on his crew there in S2. But you know how it goes. Sometimes you just put it all together in the challenge. So Jeff Wong switching sides now. Kessel on the other side. Kessel out. He's out front. Wong now with a good light for Wong. Wong with a 670. Kessel with a 572. So Kessel making up a little bit of the ground at the tree. What's interesting here is that almost a 2/10 breakout by Jeff Wong. to see how that is going to affect him as we continue down through the competition. Kessel now into the slalom, into the sweeper. Hard to see at the far end of the course there for me. Kessel running that BMW M2, very popular car in autocross. Last year I saw a lot of them. This year I saw a lot of them. There's even more this year, I think. They're everywhere. It's the new Miata. Kessel coming back now. Jeff Wong reeling him in here on the offset gates. And equal into the slalom they go. Wong putting the power down, final strip to the finish, and Wong will be back first. So Wong will move on, but he's got a breakout of .197. So get out your calculators and figure out Jeff's new dial-in. 3 times 2 is 6/10. I guess it should put Wong's dial-in down to a 41.6. Not horrible, but anytime it's harder to challenge, that makes it harder. Okay, next pair up. Quit my chit-chatting here. That's Ryan Otis. He says, let's get to racing. Running an S3 from Oregon. Dial-in for Ryan Otis in that 1LE 42.359. Lining up against Otis out of Cam class, Mr. Chad Riker in that gorgeous Camaro 42.727. Dial-in for Riker. Started there all years. Ryan Otis. Great tree by Ryan, a 5.09 for Ryan Otis. Chad Riker with a 5.27. Only the best make it this far in Pro Solo competition. This is the Top 32 Challenge. If you're just tuning in back home, welcome to the 2020 version here in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kevin Dietz on the microphone. Otis and Riker, Camaro versus Camaro, new versus old. I don't know what these cars weigh, the differential in weight is, but I know the differential in age is like 40 years. Both drivers in the sweeper. These guys not separated by much at the tree and on course either. Ryan Otis slightly out front, it looks like, as they go into the offset gates. And Ryan holding on to that through the last slalom. And Ryan will be back first on that left-hand side as they switch over. Not a big margin here, though. .271 for Ryan as they switch sides. So Chad Riker probably looking to get some heat in the tires, maybe a sharper tree as they switch sides. Otis now over on the right-hand side, Chad to the left-hand side. And Otis takes off. He'll get the launch this time. He's got a 5.19. Chad Riker with another 6.10 for Riker. So Otis, again, quicker on the tree. We'll see if he can stay out front on course. I'm not sure who designed the course here this weekend, but Arizona Region are doing a great job with this event this weekend. And I don't think you guys have had a lot of big events out here, but I hope this becomes a regular stop on the tour, although it definitely hurts our Packwood Pro Solo, but that's still up in the air. We still don't know how that Packwood event's going to turn out, whether or not we're going to keep our Pro Solo and our tour event, and hopefully we will be able to at least do those. One more hurrah if we are able to get those. I hope you guys are all able to make it out there for what could be the final ever Packwood National Tour events. But we'll keep everybody posted. Otis still out front on the way back into the slalom. Great race, both these drivers. Nobody chasing cones. Looks like it's going to be a clean run. Otis back first. Otis taking the win. Moving on to round number 2. Next pair up, left-hand lane, Tom Berry. Running in S4 in his venerable Evo. Dialing for Tom at 42.307. He'll be lining up against his fellow California compatriot running an R1. That's Mr. Jonathan Clements in the Van Diemen running a 39.138 dial-in. Started there all years. And they're off. Good lights, both drivers. Clements, though, the second of the pairing there with that faster 39.1 dial-in, but both drivers in the 5s there at the launch. You got to wonder how many times those guys have been behind each other in grid back home in California Speedway. I think that's where they both hail from. All-wheel drive Tom Berry. Definitely quicker to 60 feet with Jonathan Clements with that oh-so-fast lateral G capability in that Van Diemen. Both drivers, looks like Barry into the sweeper first. Clements now into the sweeper, so not that far behind. Here comes Barry now out of the sweeper into that first offset gate. And looks like Jonathan now out of the sweeper. And this is where Jonathan, I think, he doesn't have the power, but a nice long slalom here after the offset gates to the finish lights. And they are in the slalom almost identically. And they're back. And Barry back first, but by 0.020. 0.020 for Barry. So super tight battle here between Clements and Barry as they switch sides. Tom Barry now over to the right, Clements on the left. Clements with the faster dial. That means Tom Barry's tree's going to go down first. Good launch by Tom Barry. And that's going to be a quick run. Let's say the 5:07 for Barry. Clements there also with a 6:10 for Clements. So Tom, never say die. Tom Barry is he knows he's got to keep his foot to the ground. That young gun, Jonathan Clements. If he's not racing cars, he's flying jet fighters. Looking pretty good on the way out. Tom wiggles the cone. Course worker going out to the cone to check on it. Oh, and there's the call. So Barry looked like it didn't fall over. It just wiggled its way out of the box. We'll be carrying a cone now as it comes back towards us. And I don't know if Tom knows he had that cone or not, but coming out of the sweeper now, looks like Barry's still out front, but here's where Jonathan's going to start running him down. Jonathan enters the slalom cone. Oh, Jonathan catching the cone. So dueling cones here. Jonathan back first, and Jonathan wins on time as the two cones cancel each other out. So Clements now moving on to the next round. Next pair up, running in Street 5 in the Fiesta. Mr. Reed Gibson taking the win there in class this weekend. Is down to 45.791. And running in B Street in the Tesla in this alternate universe, that's David Whitener. David running a 43.702 starter. They're all yours. And Gibson out first, as you'd expect. The Fiesta just a little bit slower than that Tesla dual motor. Gibson with a 6.70 reaction time. Whitener with a 5.25. So Whitener got him at the tree. We'll see if he can reel him in. I don't know if either one of these drivers really needs any heat in their tires. One, because Reed's car just doesn't put the power down, doesn't have any power. And David Whitener, with that all-wheel drive, silky smooth electric power, probably pretty good, able to put that power down pretty good. Into the sweeper they go. Gibson out of the sweeper. David Whitener into the sweeper. Now heading towards that offset gates. Here's where David Whitener is going to really put the power down, coming back towards us here. Offset gates into about a 6-cone slalom towards the finish here. Gibson in the slalom. Whitener right behind him. Gibson still out front. Gibson back first by 1/10 of a second as they switch sides. But you can't count David Whitener out. 1/10 of a second is nothing that can be done at the tree as they switch sides. David Whitener now over to the left side. Reed Gibson on to the right side. Here we go. Gibson with a 5.70. Whitener a 6.10. So Whitener not doing himself any favor there at the tree. That'll give Gibson, by my quick math, about a 2.5 lead right now over Whitener. Gibson a little loose, though. Going in that slalom before the finish lights. Looks like he got late on the wheel. And Whitener now right behind him as they exit the sweeper. And I'd expect Whitener to put it on here in the offset gates, and he is. Whitener now caught up to Gibson. So Reed Gibson hoping Whitener can hit a cone or something as he's looking like he's out front, and Into the slalom they go. Whitener in first and Whitener out first. So Whitener taking the win in that round. Moving on to round number 2. Next round, left-hand lane out of R1. Driving a KFR Turbo Sprite. None other than Jeff Kiesel is down on a 38.100. On the right-hand side, running an S3 out of California. Mr. Doug Rouse in his Corvette dialing for Doug, a 42.359 starter. They're all yours. Doug Rouse takes off in that Corvette. And, boy, you think that Corvette would be fast. And there goes Jeff. Jeff is driving a rocket ship. Jeff doing a lot of work on the front end of that car. Light and taking off a lot of weight on the front end of that car. Jeff say it's handling fantastic. Jeff setting top packs this weekend in that KFR Turbo Sprite. So if that doesn't tell you that it's working good, I don't know what does. Rouse still out in front in the slalom. Rouse into the sweeper. Kiesel not that far behind him, though. Still blue skies. Little puffy clouds in the distance here in the desert air here at Las Vegas, Nevada. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Hope you didn't lose all your money in the casinos. Hopefully some of you made enough money to pay for the trip. Wouldn't that be something, huh? Both drivers heading their way back now in the offset gates. Kiesel into the slalom. Same time Rouse is. And Kiesel out the other side first. Kiesel back first by 0.2 over Rouse. As they switch sides now. Rouse over on the left side. Kiesel back over here on the right now. Kiesel with a couple tenths. Doug Rouse taking off now on the right-hand side in the vet. Now, Doug's got some warm tires. Kiesel also out of the gates. Now, Kiesel, good light for Jeff, a 540 to Doug's 697. Both drivers with a little heat in their tires. Now, this should be interesting here. The cars like this respond differently with cold tires compared to hot tires. Both drivers still looking good. Course worker walking over behind Kiesel, though. He waves it off. He doesn't even finish the walk over there. Doug Rouse enters the sweeper. Doug loose into the sweeper. Dust coming up behind Doug Rouse as they come off the exit. Doug Rouse throwing dirt into the air in a paved parking lot. That can only mean one thing. Doug offline on the exit of that sweeper. Kiesel now all over him. As they sit in the offset gates now, Kiesel has caught Doug Rouse. Doug coming in, just flailing at the wheel into the final slalom. I don't know how Doug kept it together through that slalom, but Kiesel's going to take the win and move on to the next round. Great race by those two drivers. Fantastic. Next pair up in R2. As we get down to near the end of this first group of cars here in the Supercar 32-car Super Challenge here in Las Vegas. If you're just tuning in at home, it's Kevin Dietz on the microphone. Andy McKee lining up on the left-hand side, running in race 2 in the RX-7. McKee's dialing at 39.094. In on the right-hand lane, running at S3, Cam Whittle. Whittle in with a 42.359 with that S3 index. And a Whittle index based on Ryan Otis's time. Whittle in the Viper. So we've got RX-7 versus Dodge Viper. Great pairing there at the line starter. They're all yours. Oh, and there goes Mr. Cam Whittle. Whittle taking off in the Viper first. McKee now taking off. Cam with a 672. McKee with a 598. So advantage McKee at the tree. That silky smooth RX-7 of Andy McKee. A lot of storied history there in the McKee mobile. I believe way back in the day that car gave the Shauna Marinus, I believe maybe one of the first gals to win an open class championship in that same car. I know it's been through 3 or 4 different color schemes. I love how it looks right now. Whittle to the sweeper. McKee on cold tires trying to warm them up. Whittle also with cold tires in that Dodge Viper. It's been a while since got done running. McKee now out of the sweeper. Cam still out in front in the offset gates, coming back. Both cars putting on the power. Whittle into the slalom first. McKee right behind him, and Whittle will be back first. And looks like a 4/10 advantage for Whittle as they come back around the other side. So Whittle now moving over to the left-hand side. McKee on the right, a 4/10 advantage. This is a bit over 4/10 for Cam Whittle. And Whittle out again. Whittle with a good light of 6:10. Not too fast, not too slow. Andy out of there with a 5:71, so almost identical to his first reaction time. A lot of different methodologies when it comes to the tree. Some guys say don't make any changes. No matter what happens, launch the same way every time. Other guys, like myself, sometimes I'll say, if you're going to push the tree, push it in the challenge, not in class competition. So a 4/10 advantage for Whittle, so it's up to McKee to reel him in. That RX-7, though, super fast, expert pair dial-in. He needs to heat in those tires. Whittle into the sweeper now, coming back at us. In the offset gates, McKee out of the sweeper. And Whittle still out in front. Whittle into the slalom, McKee in the slalom. It's going to be tight here at the end. Whittle back first, though. And it's enough. Whittle takes the win by a 1/10 of a second. So McKee reels in 3/10 of that advantage for Cam Whittle, but not enough to move on to the next round. All right, here we go. Final round coming up here between, looks like Tom Elam and Eric's. Well, wait a minute here. We're going to find out. I'm not sure who timing's pulling up now. Yep, looks like Tom Elam and Eric Stoltz lining up. So Tom on the left-hand lane, dialing a 43.426. Eric Stoltz in the STS Miata on the right-hand side with a 43.868 for Eric Stoltz. Started there all years. And they're off. Tom Elam, 627. Eric Stoltz, 492. Very similar dial-ins for these two very different cars here. Tom Elam in the Mustang and Cam class. The Mazda Miata of Eric Stoltz running an STS. There's enough slaloms on this course that Miata of Stoltz might be enough to have just an edge in handling over Tom Elam. Both drivers coming out of the sweeper now, coming back towards us. Still looks almost identical. I cannot tell who's ahead of who. As they exit the offset gates into the final sweeper, it looks like a dead heat here between Stoltz and Elam. And it's a, wow, almost a tie. .020 between Elam and Stoltz as they switch sides. Great, one of the best races so far here in the top 32 car challenge. Stoltz now moving over to left side, Tom on the right. .0 separating these two drivers. Might as well be a heads-up race now. Tom Elam taking off on the left-hand side. Stoltz right with him. Both drivers in the low sixes. All the way out. Still going, still going. Course workers running behind Eric Stoltz, though. Oh, and there's the call. Stoltz with a cone on the right-hand side. Oh, man. Into the slalom, into the sweeper they go. Back out on the other side. So Eric now with the cone. Coming back at us now on the offset gates. Oh, and they enter the sweeper. Stoltz with another cone. So pretty much handing it over to Tom Elam. He'll take the win. Yeah, I can't even do the math, unfortunately, for Stoltz, but he's a young gun. He'll be back. All right, here comes next pair up. Oh, looks like we ran the wrong pairing. Golly, I hate when that happens. Oh, they'll figure it out, I guess, in timing. Timing's got all the numbers. No worries. Next pair up. No, that's right. It's Eric Stoltz. Yeah, okay. So that was. Oh, there was a buy run. Okay, I get it now. All right, so Eric Stoltz gonna line back up again. What a gift that is, huh? Line right back up again. They're gonna let him cool off for a minute. No, he's gonna pull him up a line. Oh, it's getting crazy out here at the Pro Solo. So Eric Stoltz in the left-hand lane, coming out of bump class, and he's gonna line up against. Oh, wait a minute here. What are we doing, guys? Oh, Tom Elam and Ryan Johnson. Oh, okay. All right, so they brought the wrong pairing up. Those we're going to let both bring Tom Elam back up here. Stoltz next round. Okay, I got it. So Tom Elam coming up on the left-hand side in cam class. Against Ryan Johnson. Ryan with a frowny face there with Tom Elam with the warm tires. That doesn't seem fair. But anything can happen in an alternate universe. Ryan Johnson running an S2 with a 40.757 dial-in. Tom Elam with cam class with a 43.426 dial-in. Starter, they're all yours. Good launch there for Ryan Johnson. A nice 592. Elam with a 490. Nope, 507. Tom Elam in cam class. Ryan Johnson in S2. In the slalom they go into the turnaround. I tell you, if we keep having Pro Solos here in Vegas, I'm going to have to watch my weight. I was at the buffet, all you can eat, and man, oh man, are those buffets fantastic here in Vegas. Not cheap, though. I remember them being cheap. They're not cheap anymore. Everything's expensive down here. All right, Tom Elam and Ryan Johnson. Johnson has caught up to Elam. Into the slalom they go. Elam back first by 0.2 as they switch sides now. Johnson to the left, Elam on the right. And Elam back just a couple tenths ahead of Johnson. And could have something to do with his warmer tires. Ryan's not phased, though. He's been here before. And there goes Elam off the tree on the left-hand side. Johnson now matching the dial in there. Ryan Johnson with a 592 to Elam 784. So all the difference made up there right at the tree there for Johnson and Elam. Now Johnson's just got to keep the pressure on Elam all the way down the course. If he can keep that advantage, he could sneak this away from Mr. Elam, who was out front. In the sweeper they go. Elam in first, Johnson right behind him, coming back out now. And Johnson with a bobble. He catches a big slide. And I saw a little puff of dust up there. That usually means that you're offline just a little bit. And yes, looks like he's come out of the throttle a bit there. Tom way out front now. Through the lights goes Elam. So Elam back first. And he'll be moving on to the next round. Sorry to see that for Ryan Johnson, but he's a competitor. He'll be back next time. That's just the way the ball bounces sometimes. All right, here comes our next pair now. And here comes Eric Stoltz and Jonathan Lugard. So Eric's on the left-hand side in bump class with a 43.8 dial-in. Jonathan out of Street 1. Jonathan with a 39.770 for Jonathan Lugard. Starter, they're all yours. Stoltz out front. Good light by Eric of 6'10". And Jonathan with a 5.50. Jonathan would have taken the win in Street 1, but cones away the win and gives it over to Bauer. And he's going to want some retribution here in the challenge competition. As Bauer's moved on to the second round, I know Jonathan would love to face up against him. Stoltz still out front. Pretty big margin between these two drivers. A 43.8 dial-in for Stoltz to a 39.7 for Jonathan. Stoltz now out of the sweeper. Jonathan into the sweeper. Here's where Eric Stoltz got to be foot to the floor here in these big fast offset gates. Jonathan looking like he's making up some ground now. Oh, yes, he has. Jonathan right there as they exit the final sweep or offset gate into the slalom. Jonathan there in the slalom with him. And Jonathan back first by 0.3 of a second. So as they switch sides right now, Jonathan in the lead, 0.3 over Eric Stoltz. Stoltz now to the right, Jonathan over on the left. Stoltz now taking off. Jonathan right behind it, both in the 5s. So pretty close there. So Lugod still with the advantage. Lugod wiggling the cone on the way out. Course workers going to check. And looks like it's called safe. Into the sweeper they go. On the exit of the sweeper, here comes Eric Stoltz now. Eric's still out in front of Lugod. Another course worker going out behind Lugod. Oh, and it's called on Lugod. Another cone. I swear that cone, I think that just fell down because of the wind by Lugod. He's going so fast. And that SSM Miata he's built. Oh, that's too bad. So a cone. And Stoltz back. And yeah, so Jonathan didn't make it up on time and with the cone. So Stoltz going on to the next round. As Lugod's got a fairly short drive back home. You know he's going to go back and work on that car. Jonathan, a fantastic competitor. Next pair up. This is our last pair in the top 32 first round. Jason Bucky lining up on the left-hand side, running at B Street with a 43.7 dial-in. Right-hand side, Randall Wilcox running in Street 1 with a 39.7, also in an SSM car. And started there all years. People shouting out behind Randall Wilcox. Tree goes down, Randall out. 7:01 light from Randall Wilcox. Must have been distracted by somebody yelling out to him there right at the start. I don't know if that was Jason Bucky or who that was. Both Bucky also with a 7-something light, though, so no harm, no foul for Wilcox there. It's both those guys kind of sleepy at the tree here late in the afternoon here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Probably both of them up a little late last night going bar hopping. You know how that goes. Pretty equal now as they get into the sweeper. So I don't know what happened there to Jason Bucky, but Randall Wilcox has made up all the distance. And he's coming out of the sweeper first. And, oh, man, Wilcox really out front. I don't know what's up with Jason. I don't know if he's just hit a cone or car issues there. But Wilcox really pulling hard now out of the offset gates into the slalom, still out front. And Wilcox back first with oh, wow, Wilcox, no wonder. Breakout for Randall Wilcox, a 2:19 breakout for Wilcox as they switch sides. So Wilcox now with a 7/10 lead over Jason Bucky with the breakout. So look for him to have a harder dial in next round. Oh, and it's over just that fast. Jason Bucky, knowing he had a lot to make up, throws a red light, 498 red light. That will hand over the win to Randall Wilcox, and that finishes up round number 1 here at the 2020 Tire Rack Las Vegas Pro Solo. Moving on to round 2. Next pair up in round 2, James Paulson in that left lane in the Mustang. Dialing a 44.702. Zach Kiesel lines up on the right-hand side. Both these guys with some warm tires. It's about 72 degrees here today, this afternoon here in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Sun kind of going down on the side of the mountains there. Beautiful scenery here in the desert. 44.7 for Paulson, 37.5 for Kiesel. Started there all years. Paulson out first, 6:72 reaction time. Kiesel seems like he had to wait an eternity there. 5:19 light for Zach, though. That young guy, can't hold him back in the Kiesel F500. Paulson working that beautiful red Mustang down through the slalom into the big sweeper. Coming out of the sweeper there. Kiesel still not yet into the sweeper. There goes Kiesel in sweeper. I can see James Paulson's whole side of his car, though. That means he's already turned the corner into the offset gates. Kiesel now out of the sweeper, charging hard. This is where the power is going to be put down. Kiesel trying to reel him back in on these offset gates. Coming into the slalom now. Kiesel right there with Paulson. Into the slalom they go. Paulson back first by 0.2 of a second. So Paulson with the advantage, switching sides by 0.2 of a second. Paulson taking off again now. Good light by James. 5:40. Well, even better light by Zach Kiesel. 5:19 by Kiesel. I swear he did a 5:19 earlier. So right now, advantage to Paulson. Zach Kiesel's going to have to reel him in. Zach on his way out there, entering the slalom. Paulson now sweeping the far sweeping side, and I can see the whole side of James Cargan. That means he's heading into the offset gates. Kiesel now out of the sweeper. Oh, and they got, I think that's a cone for Kiesel. I see a course worker jogging over there behind him. Yes, it is Kiesel with the cone. They're going to raise it up behind him. But he isn't giving up. Kiesel back into the slalom first, and back first. Kiesel back by 0.9 of a second, almost making up the differential, but can't overcome that cone. And that's going to give the James Paulson the win going into round 3. Next pair up on the left-hand side, Steve O'Blenis out of Southern California. Steve driving the RX-8 Street 1. He had a dial in a 43.5, but he broke that out. So now he's got a 43.2 dial in for O'Blenis. Ryan Clark lining up on the right-hand side. Clark running an S3 with a 42.359 in the Viper. Started there all years. Steve O'Blenis taking off now in the RX-8. 571. Ryan Clark with a 52.7. So a low 5 light there for Clark. A little higher one for O'Blenis. O'Blenis with that breakout, though, so you got to think it's going to be hard for him to make it up. It's not a big breakout, only 0.3 of a second, but, you know, everything counts here at the Pro Solo competition, and that might be enough for Ryan Clark to get around him in that Dodge Viper. They're both coming out of the slalom now back towards us. You got to think that Viper's putting the power down now with those big meaty tires and the offset gates. It looks like Ryan Clark's ahead to me as they come back into the slalom. Ryan's going to be into the slalom first, and he's back first. So Clark moving on. It sounds like people cheering there for Ryan Clark. A 42.3 dial in for Clark, so he was able to hold on to that, and he made up he looks like he led wire to wire. So Clark moving on to the next round. Here comes the next pair now. On the left-hand lane, Adrian Cardenas. Cardenas out of S2 with a 40.7 dial-in. Manfred Reiser coming off the win against Wargo there in STX in round number 1. Dial-in still the same at 43.591. Started there all years. Riser out front. Good light by Riser, a 670. Adrian Cardenas, a little sleepier, 736 for Cardenas. So we'll have to see if that hurts him down the road. As a Riser in the slalom. Course workers coming out behind Riser, though. When Riser looking like he's a little bit loose into the sweeper. That Cardenas now might be able to reel him in a little bit. Riser looks like he put it back together, though. He's coming out of the sweeper in pretty good condition. Adrian Cardenas now starting to reel him in the offset gates. Adrian with that faster car running in S2 here this weekend. Coming out of the sweep into the slalom. Looks like Riser's still out front. And Riser back first, scaring the cones, but he's back first by 3/10, so he'll move on to the next round. Into round 3. Next pairing up on the left-hand side out of Washington State. Driving the Mazda Miata, Ron Bauer running in S1. Your winner in S1 here this weekend, only by Lugod there. Almost getting him, but couldn't do it cleanly. Bauer dialing a 39.770. And he's lining up against Jeff Wong. So battle of the Titans here on this round. Jeff Wong running an S2. Your winner there with dialing a 41.947. And starter, they're all yours. Jeff out first, and that ESP Camaro looking good, heading down into the slalom. Good launch there by Jeff. Bauer right behind him. Both drivers in the low 6s, though. Being conservative, both these two guys. I don't know what the combined Pro Solo experience here is of these guys, but I bet it's close to 40 years of Pro Solo experience between Bauer and Wong. Wong into the sweeper, but Ron not that far behind him already as they come out of the sweeper. Jeff putting down the power in the ESP Camaro. Ron putting this Mazda Miata together over the winner. He's taken that car from STR. Well, I don't know if it's this car, but he's gone from STR to, what did he go? BSP last year, DP, BSP, and now in SSM. Jeff Wong still out in front and enter the slalom. Jeff Wong just slightly ahead. Jeff back first by 0.3 of a second over Bauer as they switch sides. Ron over to the right side, Jeff over to the left side. Jeff takes off on the right side. Good launch for Jeff. Another 5 light, a 5:47. Ron with a 6:09. So Ron needs that at the tree as Jeff's got that lead on that first side. Jeff in the slalom. Looking good. Course worker walking out behind Jeff, though. But it looks like he waved it off. Bauer, they're both entering the sweep at about the same time. So that must have slowed Jeff down a little bit coming out of that slalom. But don't sound like there's a cone penalty coming after that. Bauer now nearly equal with him into the first offset gates. Ron goes a little hard into that, trying to make it up from the tree. It goes a little bit wide. That puts him almost back equal again. It's a drag race to the final slalom. Jeff there, Ron there, very close together. Jeff back first, but isn't enough to stay out in front. It is. So Jeff Wong moving on to the next round. One of the better races of these pairings we've seen so far. Ron's got, he's got some more work to do on that car, I'm sure. Not completely put together. Jeff Wong now. And I'm hearing that Jeff broke out. So Jeff Wong, Ron forcing Jeff to break out to move on to the next round. How much did he break out by? 0.197. So Wong now with nearly a 2/10 breakout. You do the math. He's got to go 6/10 faster on his next pairing. We'll have to see what that is in just a minute as our next pair pulls up to the line. That's Mr. Ryan Otis on the left-hand side. We're running out of S3. Your winner there with a dial on a 42.359. And he is lined up against Jonathan Clements, running an R1. Jonathan's dialing a 39.138 starter. They're all yours. And they're out of there. Ryan Otis with a very good start at 5:25. He's like a machine there, a computer behind the wheel. Mr. Smooth, Ryan Otis. Clements, though, right there with him in a sub 6/10 reaction time. 5:98 for Clements. Otis with that new 1LE Camaro. Bad to the bone. You just know he's driving through his neighborhood back to his house. And the radio's blaring, bad to the bone. Jonathan Clements putting together a jet fighter on the weekends. Actually, they're building a new car, the Clements are. I don't think this is it, though. Still in the Van Diemen for now. But that should be exciting when they get that new debut of the new car. Otis still out in front of Clements, but here's where you're going to think Otis is going to have to give up a little bit of to Clements as Clements is out of the sweeper and into those offset gates, making quick work of that. Otis still out front, though. Otis in the slalom. Jonathan right behind him, though, through the slalom. Otis is in back first by not a whole lot, 0.127. Otis advantage as they switch sides, so still pretty much a heads-up race here between Otis and Clements. Otis now on the right, Clements over here on the left. Man, that's a good sounding car by Ryan Otis. I'm telling you, that 1LE just sounds fantastic. Jonathan Clements' car sounds like a sewing machine next to that beast of Ryan Otis. Trees down. Otis, another 5:25. I think he just ran the same dialing he did on the other side. To the thousandth of a second, Clements with a 5:70, so a little bit faster for Clements on that second round. Right now, though, Clements back a couple tenths to Otis. Into the slalom they go. Otis, he almost looks like he's out there in slow motion right now. Into the sweeper. I can't quite tell who was into the sweeper first. Jonathan's car is so low to the ground. And there's just enough curve in this parking lot that I can't quite tell you. We'll see who I see coming out the other side. It does look like Otis still out in front on the other side. Into the offset gates now. Otis car with plenty of power. Jonathan can only try to reel him in now on handling alone, hoping for Otis to make a mistake. Ryan still out front. In the slalom they go. Ryan back first. And Ryan takes it on both sides, as I'm sure the Clements car needed some warm tires there. And he's going to come up just a bit short. Ryan going on to round number 3. Moving on to our next round now. That's going to be David Whitener on the left-hand side in that Tesla. In B Street, dialing a 43.702. Right-hand side for lining up against Whitener is Jeff Kiesel. Kiesel in the curved KFR Turbo Sprite 31.1. Dialing for Jeff. Starter, they're all yours. Whitener out front, 5.72 for Whitener. Kiesel with a 5.12, so great light by Jeff Kiesel. Jeff surviving the battle between him and Doug Rouse now, so he's got some warm tires against Whitener. Whitener overcoming Reed Gibson for this second round position. Jeff looks so far back, though, that Whitener car. I don't know if you've worked on course with one of these new Teslas driving by, but it's really strange to see something go by so fast, yet be completely quiet. Like, I bet the workers on the left-hand side can hear the seagulls as David goes by. Full tilt boogie. Kiesel now coming out of the sweeper, both heading into the offset gates, and man, Jeff Kiesel's car accelerates. It doesn't even look real sometimes. It accelerates so fast. And out of the gates in the slalom. It's a dead heat right now between Kiesel and Whitener. In the slalom, Kiesel through. Oh my God, what a great race there. Separated by .010. Kiesel takes the lead, switching sides over Whitener. So it's pretty much a dead heat right now between Whitener and Kiesel. Whitener, good launch by David. Another 5 light by David. Kiesel again, another good light by Kiesel. Great competitors, both of these guys. Lots and lots of talent oozing out of both these guys' right foot. Very close battle here. Jeff wiggling a cone, though. Course worker's coming out behind him. And Whitener wiggling a cone. So dueling cones here. Dueling cones. Oh, it looks like Whitener may have slid it out of the box as he went into the sweeper with his hair on fire. I'm telling you, those Teslas, they take a bit of practice. It's just very strange to drive one of those cars. I was talking about how it's weird for the course workers. It's weird for the driver because you're so used to hearing that feedback from the motor, and you just don't get that feedback in these new electric cars. Jeff definitely looks like he's out front coming back into the offset gates. And there's that acceleration by Jeff Kiesel. It's just hard to describe if you have never seen that car accelerate. Jeff back in the slalom first, so Whitener definitely looks like he may have come out of the throttle realizing he had a cone back there. So Jeff Kiesel moving on to the next round, and that'll bring up Cam Whittle and Tom Elam, it looks like to me. Yep. So Cam Whittle on the left-hand lane, running that S3 car, and he's dialing for Cam's a 42.359. And on the right-hand side, Tom Elam on Cam class is dialing a 43.426. Started there all years. Good launch of the tree by Tom Elam, a 602. Cam Whittle with a 797. Cam with that Dodge Viper. Tough car to launch, as I said earlier. So Elam right now with the advantage and the hole shot at the tree. Tom Elam in the slalom looking pretty good. Whittle right there now in the slalom. And down into the fast sweeper at the far end of the course. Course workers running behind Elam in the sweeper, though, and I haven't seen cones go down in the sweeper, so from this distance, it's hard to tell. I can only assume that Tom was very shallow on entry. I'm not hearing any cone calls, though, but I can see the course worker running out, but I can't quite tell if he's holding up any fingers, but the radios are still quiet. Cam Whittle now also out of the sweeper, so both guys now in the offset gates coming back toward us there. Looks like Elam is a little behind. Whittle now out front in the slalom. They go Whittle out front. Whittle's going to take it. He does. So a 3/10 advantage to Cam Whittle as they switch sides in that Dodge Viper. Tom Elam driving the Mustang. So Whittle now over to the right. Tom Elam on the left-hand side. Advantage to Cam Whittle. Here they go. Cam Whittle now taking off. 670 light for Cam. So backing off from the tree. Knows he's got an advantage on time. Tom Elam with a 522. So Tom pushing hard at the tree. He's going to need all of that right now. As that, I think if I do the quick math, it still gives Cam with about a 10th and a half advantage going down. It should be fun watching these guys in the Dodge Viper this year. Ryan Clark and Cam Whittle co-driving that car together. Whittle still out front on his way back in the Viper into the big offset gates. Coming back down into the slalom. Still out front is Whittle. And Whittle back first. It was a close one there at the end, but not enough. Whittle going to move on to round number... Well, that's round 3, so he's moving on to round 4. All right, so here we go. Round 4, final pairing here. Eric Stoltz and Randall Wilcox lining up. Stoltz taking the win over Lugod. Lugod coning away the win, just like he coned away the class win. And Randall Wilcox taking the win over Jason Bucky. And Randall with a breakout apparently on the last go around. So he's got a little faster dial-in this time. So we'll see how that works out. Starter there all years. And Stoltz out first in that red STS Mazda Miata coming down here from Idaho. Great all-around guy, that Mr. Stoltz. If you haven't got some ice cream from his family farm, go check it out. Next time you drive through that area, it's fantastic. Randall Wilcox looking like he's making up a little ground on Eric right now, but he's got a lot to make up for. He broke out, so he's got a harder dial-in. Eric leaving the sweeper. Randall entering the sweeper, but now into the fast offsets they go, where we've seen most of the cars with power able to overcome. They're in those offset gates. And it does look like Randall has nearly caught Eric as they go into the slalom. That little Miata dancing through those final few cones, and Eric is back first, and Randall back about the same margin, I think, as his dial-in change. So, man, that breakout there hurting Randall on this next round here, round number 2, as we move into round number 3. Switching sides, Stoltz with the advantage over Wilcox. And they go, Stoltz out front again. Stoltz a good light, 527. Randall with a 535. So neither driver giving up much at the tree. Randall Wilcox, so wiggling cones, 2 cones. I could see that on his way out. Course worker jogging over there. 2 course workers now walking over there. Nobody calling the penalty though, so still open, still a heads-up race here between Stoltz and Wilcox. Stoltz into the sweep, coming back out. That little red Mazda Miata that can, that could, that will, that does. Randall now into the sweeper. Randall charging hard in that first sweeper corner. He goes a bit deep like I saw Bauer do earlier. Little dust coming up behind Wilcox. He knows he's got to make it up on Stoltz. And it looks like maybe a course order running behind Wilcox now, as he's throwing everything at the kitchen sink at it. So Wilcox does get a cone. So looks like Eric's back first on time and with the penalty. Eric Stoltz moving on to the 3rd round. So just that quick, we've been through 2 rounds. Moving on to the 3rd round now. On the left-hand side, lining up Jadis Paulson. Paulson out of Chem class, down a 44.7. Line up on the right-hand side against Ryan Clark. Clark with that Dodge Viper. Ford versus Dodge here at the start line. Dial in a 44.7 for James and a 42.3 for Ryan. Starter, they're all yours. Great launch by Paulson, a 5.14 light by James. Great launch there. 5.72 by Clark, which normally would be a great light, but that 5.14 by James. So he's got 60 thousandths of an advantage against that big Dodge ground pound axle, which was entire smoking Viper of Ryan Clark. Paulson still out front in the slalom. Taking off now into the sweeper now. Clark looks like he got a little crossed up in the slalom. It's hard to tell from the angle. I thought I saw the course worker starting to make a run over towards the slalom, but he didn't even keep running. So he must have thought Ryan was going to hit a cone, but then decided, no, he didn't hit a cone. James coming out of the sweeper now into the offset gates. And Ryan right behind him. Ryan starting to reel him in now. Not a big difference between the dial-ins for these 2 drivers, but man, you can see the Viper putting down that power in those big offset gates. Ryan coming right on to me, close into the slalom. And Ryan is back first in the slalom. Amazing. I never would have thought that Viper could have caught James, but it did. So we're going to switch sides now. James down 0.3 of a second to Clark in the Viper. Even with that great tree by James Paulson, not enough. Is Ryan Clark really getting a handle on this Dodge Viper here this weekend? James takes off again. Another good light by James Paulson at 5:40. And Ryan Clark with a 5:70. So again, both drivers, lots of just fantastic lights here this weekend. This new timing system by Pronto Timing Systems, Darren DeSimo, just easy to see, nice and consistent. So I think everybody's giving it thumbs up so far. Paulson's still out front, as you'd expect, in the slightly slower Mustang. But Ryan Clark, watch Ryan as they enter the sweeper here. Paulson goes in first. Ryan's right there, though. Paulson on his way back out. I can't quite see the front of his car yet. There it is, that big red Mustang. I see it now. I see the full side, but there's Clark right there with them already in the offset gates. And this is where Ryan really poured on the power on the other side. I expect the same here this time, and it is. Ryan does look slightly out in front here as he enters the slalom. It's going to be Ryan's to lose. Through the lights he goes, and he is back first, so Paulson not going to win this round. Ryan Clark moving on to round number 4. In the final 4 goes Ryan Clark. Next pair up. Out of STX, Manfred Reiser. Dialing for Manfred at 43.591. He's going to line up against Jeff Wong. The man, the myth, the legend, that ESP Camaro. Jeff with a dial of 41.947. Jeff broke out on his second round, was still able to get around Ron Bauer, and now lining up against Manfred Reiser, dialing for Jeff a 41.947. Oops. No, that is a 41.6. 41.647 for Jeff Wong. Starter there all years. Manfred Reiser taking off first. Good light by Manfred at 670. I'm sure he'd want a 5, but you don't want to throw it away on the first one. There's a 5 out of 527 by Wong. Wong is in the zone right now as he breaks out against Bauer. Manfred with that FRS there, co-driving with Kate Fisher here this weekend in the Focus Forward Racing FRS. Manfred now into the sweeper. Pretty much no drama there from Manfred Reiser. Jeff Wong now coming out of the sweeper as well. Here we go into the power section there, these offset gates, so watch for Jeff to start reeling in Manfred. And right now I'm not... Oh, there it is. You bet Jeff has now made it equal with Manfred Reiser. Oh, it's going to be close. Into the slalom they go. Jeff Wong back first. So Jeff Wong back first. 2/10 advantage as they switch side for Reiser now moving over to that right side. Jeff on the left-hand side. Remember, Jeff is working on a breakout pace here. And I don't know. Yes, they're saying he's on a breakout pace again. So Jeff Wong is getting something figured out on this course here on Sunday afternoon here at the Challenge competition. And as he is on breakout pace again, Manfred Reiser. And Manfred with a good light, a 5:10 light for Manfred, so Manfred knows he's got nothing to lose. He probably heard me say Jeff's on another breakout pace. Jeff with a good 6:10 the reaction time, so Jeff backing off a little bit at the tree. He probably doesn't want to break out either. Jeff Wong into the slalom now. Both drivers into the sweeper at the far end. I'm not seeing any dust. I'm not seeing any course workers running. Weather's still here, beautiful here this weekend. I hope everybody has a nice, safe drive back home. And those of you guys moving on to Fontana, I hope that you're finding something fun to do between the weekends. You're not going back to work again. Manfred out of the sweeper. Jeff Wong already on his tail. Almost identical into the fast section here, these offset gates. Jeff Long has already caught Manfred Reiser. Not sure if Manfred had a problem on the sweeper. Again, it's so far away I can't hardly tell. Jeff Long, though, looking like he's going to be out of this fast offset gates first. He is. Into the slalom is Jeff Long first. Reiser behind him, but Long's going to be back first, and it's another breakout for Jeff Long, so he picked up another 2/10. So Jeff Long doing it the hard way today, as he has broke out now twice. And he will move on to the final four. Next pairing up here. This is going to be Ryan Otis. Ryan Otis against Jeff Kiesel. Great battle here between these two guys. Otis taking the win in S3. And Jeff Kiesel taking the win in R1. So both these guys running their own dial-ins here. Otis with a 42.359. He's on the left-hand side in the 1LE Camaro. Jeff Kiesel on the right side in the KFR Turbo Sprite. And Kiesel's dial-in still a 38.100. Jeff not yet breaking out from that dial-in. Starter, they're all yours. Good launch by Lotus, a 622. Kiesel with a 572. So slight advantage to Kiesel there as they take off. Kiesel with that narrow-bodied car. Jeff must be used to just waiting for everybody to go first. I rarely see Jeff go first when they pair up at the tree. So they'd probably throw Jeff off if somebody actually went before he did. Otis looking great in the slalom. And in the sweeper goes Otis. And here come, I can see Ryan's headlights now coming back around the sweeper. Jeff not that far back behind him, though. Oh, but I see some dust in the back of the sweeper there for Kiesel. I don't know if he just came out wide or he went in deep. I'm not sure which one it was. Otis now looks like pretty far out front as they set the offset gates. But again, Kiesel's car, look at that thing accelerate. If Jeff went offline, I know he is not happy with that. He's going to be driving like a madman with his hair on fire all the way back to the finish lights. Otis now on the offset gate, still out in front. In the sweeper, Otis still out front. Otis going to be back first by 6/10. So I got to think something happened to Kiesel there in that big sweeper. So they're going to switch sides now with Otis with a 6/10 advantage as they switch sides. Tree comes down for Otis. Another good light of 540. Kiesel with a 531. So not enough difference there for Kiesel at the tree, as he's got to make up the work out on course. And don't count Jeff Kiesel out, as both Kiesel and Otis, veterans of this sport. Again, another great pair up here of autocross legends, Ryan Otis and Jeff Kiesel. Otis with that new car to him, though, but Ryan can adapt pretty fast. Obviously, Jeff Kiesel, not a new car, but a new setup for Jeff, as everyone's getting the bugs worked out of their cars for the 2020 season. Ryan looks like he's still out in front as they come off the sweeper into the offset gates. Ryan's still out front, but there's Jeff. Look at that, just making up all that ground in those offset gates. Ryan's still looking like he's out front in the slalom, but Kiesel right there. And Kiesel back first. Amazing how fast Kiesel gets through that slalom. Is it enough? No, it's not. Kiesel making up 4/10, but not enough. He needed another couple tenths to get around Ryan, so Ryan Otis moving on to the next round. Final pair here in the final four. This is going to be, it looks like Eric Stoltz and Cam Whittle. Whittle on the left-hand lane with a 42.359 out of S3. Eric Stoltz with a 43.868. And out of STS, actually bump class for Eric. So starter, they're all yours. Stoltz out first, 522 light for Stoltz with 572 for Cam Whittle. Whittle working on out of S3 here today. S3 is Whittle with that Viper, so getting more used to it every time he runs it. Eric Stoltz wears that Mazda Miata like a glove, as he is. It's really the only car I've ever seen Eric Stoltz drive. I know that I'm sure driven other cars like all of us, but Eric Stoltz definitely a lot of seat time in that Mazda Miata. And Cam has caught him on the exit of the sweeper, so don't know if Eric had trouble down there in a turnaround, but Cam is already alongside of Eric Stoltz, and that can't be good. There's no way that Mazda Miata is going to outrun that Dodge Viper. And here comes Cam Whittle now clearly out in front. And Cam in the slog. Cam will be back first in the Dodge Viper by 0.3 of a second over Stoltz. So making up all that time on course as they switch sides now. Stoltz to the left, Cam Whittle on the right. Advantage, I got to think Viper with the warm tires. But anything can happen, and usually does here in Pro Solo competition. If you're just tuning in at home, this is the 2020 Tire Rack Pro Solo Series here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tree down for Eric Stoltz, a good light for Eric, a 519 for Stoltz. Cam Whittle with a 602. So Eric making up a lot of that time differential there at the tree. But he's got to get it done out on course now. Whittle still out, Stoltz still out front, but Whittle working his way up on the Stoltz. Heading down into the sweeper, which is gets pretty far away from me, as I probably said 100 times, and don't want to hear it anymore. But we need to get flying drones that follow everybody. And we do some live stream action. We'll bring all this right to your living room in full color, stereophonic sound. Wouldn't that be awesome? Someday, we can all dream. Cam's still out in front. Stoltz coming in behind him. So Cam looking like, I don't know what happened to Eric on that run, but Cam's well out in front now. And into the slalom and back first is Cam Whittle. I'll have to talk to Eric what happened on that run. Maybe he ate too much ice cream. I don't know. But Cam Whittle moving on to the next round. It's okay. Eric's young. Got a lot more years of cone crushing yet to go here in Eric Stoltz. So here we are in the final four. We're going to see Ryan Clark, Jeff Wong, Ryan Otis, and Cam Whittle be your final four. We'll give them here just a minute for everybody to cool off their tires. And we'll take just a minute here to thank some of our sponsors, and that'd be the Tire Rack, sponsors for this Pro Solo Series, and the National Tour Series and our Solo Nationals. Tire Rack's been a sponsor for nearly 40 years, and they have everything, not just tires and wheels, but shocks, alignments, springs, all kinds of wiper blades, I think even, all kinds of stuff to make your car go fast, look good, and be safe. I know I get my snow tires from them when I go snowmobiling. I got my tires from my trailer, and if I had an RV, I'd get tires for that too. So convenient. Get on your mobile phone, get on the website. If you need some help, ask one of their friendly representatives to help you out. They'd be more than happy to suggest some tire combinations for you. And not just yourself. Tell your friends, family, and neighbors if they're looking for a tire to turn them on to the Tire Rack. You know, tell them they can ship it directly to their favorite installer. And Tire Rack, definitely a big props and a big thank you for another great sponsored season from Tire Rack. Looks like we are getting ready to pull up some more cars now. So I hear them starting up their engines back there. And this is going to be the final four. I hear grid sending cars up. So here we go. Final four. This all come down to this all weekend, all the driving, all the blood, the sweat, the tears, and the beers here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Your final four are going to be paired up. Ryan Clark on the left-hand side in that Dodge Viper against Jeff Wong. Now, Jeff's broken out twice, so he has an extra hard dial-in on this round. Ryan Clark's a 42.359, and Jeff Wong down to a 41. Let's see, 41-2 for Jeff Wong, starter there all years. Great start there for Ryan Clark in the Dodge Viper. Hard to believe that car's slower than the ESP Camaro of Jeff Wong. But Clark out first here. And just a few tenths separate him at the tree. Clark into the slalom. It seems to me Clark's getting better every time he turns the wheel in that Dodge Viper. Jeff Wong wears the Camaro like a glove, and into the sweeper they go. Jeff not that far behind Ryan. Now, Jeff, again, double breakouts here for Jeff Wong, so I can't believe he's got that much more gas in the tank. Ryan Clark still out front as they exit the big sweeper. Here we go into the fast offset gates. I can't believe Jeff's going to make up that much time on Ryan. He's going to just have to try to shorten that distance. Looking pretty equal out of the offset gates into the slalom. It's almost a dead heat. Now, Ryan Clark back first by 1/10 of a second. So a good race there. First pairing between Wong and Clark as we switch sides. I got to think that Jeff Wong's car benefits from warm tires just a little bit more than Ryan Clark's street tires, but we'll have to wait and see. As a differential now 1/10 of a second between Wong and Clark. Ryan Clark out first again. Good light by Ryan of 5:37. Jeff Wong of 5:47. So only 10 hundredths separate him at the tree. 90 more hundredths to go for Jeff Wong. We'll see if he can get it done out on course. I got to think he's got a bit of a mountain to climb, though, with 2 breakouts. Both drivers through the first slalom. Ryan Clark into the sweeper first. Jeff Wong, not that far behind him already, has reeled up a little bit at a time, but unlike some of the other cars, Ryan Clark able to put the power down on the exit. And both of them looking like they're pretty close on the exit coming into the first offset gates. I'd have to say that Clark still looks out in front, but here comes Wong. Oh, yeah, Wong right there coming in the slalom. It's a dead heat through the finish lights. Who's it going to be? Wong wins. Oh, my gosh, .070. Jeff Wong taking the win there over Ryan Clark. And Jeff Wong going into the final round. So we'll see on the next pairing here who he's going to face. Ryan Otis pulling up on the left-hand side all the way from Oregon. In the 1LE Camaro down in the 42.389. Right-hand side, Cam Whittle working his way all the way through McKee and Elam and Stoltz. Now Cam Whittle up against Ryan Otis. Can he do it again? Cam Whittle dialing a 42.359 starter. They're all years. Almost identical reaction times there. 42.3 dial-in to a 42.3 dial-in for Otis. So identical with tree and nearly identical reaction times, both with a 560, a 61 for Otis, a 60 for Whittle. So I think this has been the closest race so far that I've seen. Not only the dial-in, but the tree launch almost identical. Otis on that left-hand side course. Now that's the street side there on the left-hand side, if you're listening back at home. We're on the east side of the motorsports, the big track out here at LasVegas Motorsports Speedway. Lots of little tracks all around here. They got go-kart tracks. They got a ride and drive supercar track over here. So pretty cool venue. Hope we get to come back here again. And Otis into the sweeper now. Pretty close together. They're still right there together as they come off the exit of the sweeper. Looks like Otis putting a little bit of distance down. Nice turn in for Otis on the offset gate. Wow, that car looked like it bent in half as it went around the offset gate there. Still out in front is Otis. And looks like Otis into the slalom first. He's back first. And Otis back by 0.3 of a second over Whittle. So as they switch sides, Otis out in front. I'm hearing Otis is on a breakout pace right now. So Ryan Otis saving the best for last. Currently on a breakout pace over Cam Whittle. Tree comes down. Both drivers out. A 5:40 for Ryan, 5:72 for Whittle. So Whittle needs every thousandth of a second right now against Otis. But Otis on a breakout pace. I think this is his first breakout if he does actually break out. So we got Wong breaking out now, and Otis breaking out. I don't know who else broke out. I think Steve O'Blennis broke out early on. And it looks like Otis still out front, and it's going to be Cam Whittle's going to have to hope Ryan hits a cone, as he's just looking like a machine out there. Does the same thing on the offset gate. He's in on the left-hand side, like bending that Camaro around the cone like an optical illusion as he went into those offset gates. In the song we go. Ryan's still out front. Ryan will be back first, and it's a breakout for Ryan. So Ryan breaks out by .010. So if you're going to break out, that's how you do it. And he'll be moving on. So congratulations to Ryan Otis, and great job Cam Whittle making it that far into the challenge rounds. So now it looks like we're going to have a runoff here for third place between Ryan Clark, who lost to Jeff Wong, Ryan in the Viper, and he'll be lined up against Cam Whittle at a Cam class. So we're going to have to give those guys just a moment of time before we can talk about them. We got some other sponsors here to talk about. Sunoco Fuels. Where do you get your fuel at? Sunoco. Now, we don't have a lot of these in Washington State, but I hear they're everywhere else in the country. So if you got a choice to get some fuel for your race car, your motorhome, or your RV, or your mom's grocery getter, pull in the Sunoco. Fill up with those guys. Also, Mobil 1 in the house for another year. Mobil 1 used by champions for nearly 40 years of racing. Mobil 1, it keeps your engine lubricated. So check out mobil1.com and give Mobil 1 a try. Got some other sponsors here today. We've got Hagerty. How can I forget Hagerty? Hagerty's in the house. Hagerty Insurance. It's not just for your old classic cars. It's for any cars. Just give them a try. Give them a quote. Call them up. They've really gotten involved the last couple of years. I think they run the Motorsports Reg now, and they're really going full on into the motorsports community. So give Hagerty Insurance a try. What's stopping you? How about Hawk Brakes? Hawk Brakes have been a sponsor for the Autocross Pro Solo and Tour Series as long as I can remember. So they make brake pads for all different kinds, from street pads to full-on race pads to your great autocross pads. And they got a great contingency program. Hope you guys got your stickers on there for Hawk Brakes. And I think I'm hearing the Grid calling for cars to the line now. All right. I think we have got the cars cooled off there. So we're going to see this will be the runoff for third place before the final eliminator here. Again, Ryan Clark in the Viper on the left-hand side, and Cam Whittle in the Mustang on the right-hand side. Whittle on the Viper on the right-hand side. That's the great thing about this alternate universe. You can both drive the Viper. Ryan Clark versus Cam Whittle. And here we go. Tree coming down. Ryan with the slightly better reaction time over Cam Whittle. Looking beautiful into the offset, into the slalom. Now Cam Whittle taking the win over his car owner, Ryan Clark. And only in this alternate universe can they both actually drive at the same time. Into the far end, they both go nearly identical. Looks like Ryan Clark slightly out in front. Ryan wants to give Cam a little payback there for class competition. I'm not sure if it was a cone that kept Ryan out of the top spot or second spot. I'd have to go back and look, but it don't matter now. That's where it is. It's what it is. And in the slalom they go. Ryan Clark is back first as well. So Clark back first by a couple tenths as they switch sides. So a 2/10 advantage to Mr. Clark. Both Vipers lining up at the tree. This is crazy in this alternate universe. We had both of your STX co-drivers lining up against each other, and now both of the Dodge Viper drivers are lining up together. Good light by Cam Whittle, 572 to Ryan's 670, so almost a tenth of a second at the tree for Whittle. So he made up half the time he needs right there at the tree. Into the slalom they go, out of the slalom. Course workers running behind Whittle. And he's touching the cone, but I'm not hearing a call in there. In the sweeper they go. Still pretty close together. Coming out of the sweeper, Ryan Clark again slightly out in front. Oh, and Cam looks like he came in too hard. A lot of drivers been coming in too fast to that first offset gate. And I saw a little puff of clouds. Oh, I'm hearing a cone call now for Whittle. So +1 on Whittle. So Ryan's still clean. Ryan's still out front. And Ryan in the slalom first. Ryan back first. So Ryan Clark winning that one wire to wire. A little payback there for his co-driver Cam Whittle for winning in class competition. That will leave Ryan Clark in third overall. All right, coming up. You've been waiting for it all this time, all this effort. Who's going to take the top challenge win here in the Super Challenge? It's going to be two great drivers on the left-hand side. It's going to be Jeff Wong out of California in the ESP Camaro. He's going to be lining up against Ryan Otis on that right-hand side. Ryan coming off a breakout, and not a big breakout, though. In fact, both these drivers have broke out to get to this point right now. Jeff broke out twice. Ryan broke out last round. And Jeff Wong now, with that 2/10 breakout last time, is Jeff's new dial-in is a 41.247. Ryan Otis with his breakout of 10 thousandths is not a huge penalty, so he's still at a 42.3 starter. They're all yours. So Otis out first in the street-tired Camaro 1LE. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that car, but golly, Chevrolet has really done a great job making that car look bad-ass. It's got canards on the front, big scoop mouth, low side skirts on it, big old meat tires, and it's black. You gotta love black. Wong's reaction time is 6:10. Otis with a 5:32, so Otis quick at the tree. Into the sweeper they go. This is for next to the final run of the weekend here. Otis out first of the sweeper. But Jeff carrying a lot of speed out of that sweeper. Jeff has equaled him into the first offset gate now. Ryan with that characteristic bending of the car around the gate. Wong right there with him. Wong looking like he's a little bit out front here as they head towards the final slalom. Almost identical on the entry of the slalom. Jeff out first, so Jeff through the beam first. So Jeff taking the first side by how much? How about 1.197? So almost 2/10 there for Wong as they switch sides. And even with the breakout there for Otis, that wouldn't have made much of a difference. So Wong now just under 2/10 advantage as they switch sides. Otis now on the left, Wong on the right. Tree comes down. Ryan Otis with a 5:05 light, leaving nothing at the tree. Jeff with a 5:10. Both these guys want this run really, really bad. Otis like a rocket through the slalom. I cannot believe he did not hit a cone. I didn't even see any daylight between his car and the cone. I got a pretty good shot into that first slalom. And caution workers aren't even running out behind him. And from my vantage point, I don't even know how he went through there without hitting a cone. Jeff Wong trying to reel him back in, not that far back. Ryan now in the sweeper first, Jeff right behind him. And Ryan out of the sweeper. I can see the front end of that Camaro there. The headlights winking at me coming out of that sweeper into the offset gates. But here comes Jeff. Look at the acceleration there for Wong. He carries much more speed around the offset gates than Ryan. Even Ryan's textbook bending the time and space around the cones isn't able to keep Jeff off. And Jeff now looking like he's out in front into the final slalom. It's back, it's forth, it's going to be all the marbles here. Jeff Wong back first. So Jeff Wong back first on the final round of the 2020 Tire Rack Pro Solo Championship Tour here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So unofficially, we'll get the official call here in a minute, but right now, Jeff Wong, your class challenge champion, the challenge champion here, and Ryan Otis in that second spot, and third spot is going to go to Ryan Clark. So congratulations to everybody. Everybody a safe trip home. Thanks for listening here this weekend. This has been Kevin Dietz signing off. I hope in another alternative universe, I'll be able to walk up to you and shake your hand again like the old days. It's been great. I hope you had fun. Be safe. Be well. Bye-bye for now.